And a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes. My name is Jeff Owens, and I'm director at WEIU. Making an appearance again this week, Beth Gillespie and Crystal Brown from the EIU Office of Engagement and Volunteerism. Civic Engagement and Volunteerism. Thank you.
Got it. Thanks for having us.
Well, no, thank you this week because you were a late-minute scratch for a person on staff who had some family issues to deal with, and they are on campus who had some stuff to deal with. So you filled in admirably. I appreciate you guys, y'all both coming in today. And we're going to break some news here in a little bit about a new event you're going to put on. But before that, I always say, since the beginning of the semester, we have new students, new teachers, new people in the community. Talk a little bit about what your department does here on the campus of EIU.
Yeah, so our office, Civic Engagement and Volunteerism, we do a handful of different kinds of programming, but our main effort is to engage with our students and help them understand that they have the power and the responsibility to make a difference in any community that they're calling home, including Charleston, while they're here at EIU. So we want to help them understand what's happening both on campus and off. We want to get them engaged with local nonprofit partners and help them see that it doesn't have to take a ton of time to do some good, to help make the days around them a little brighter for people within our community, their neighbors, their friends, and that's kind of the heart of everything that we do. So a big piece of what we do is through volunteering efforts, so having our students give back with their time and their energy, but we also do a lot of educational programs around civic engagement to help keep our students understanding that what their role as like engaged citizens will be now as well as they go forward.
Anything you want to add, Crystal?
No.
That was a good answer, wasn't it? She
Yeah.
did well. Well, I didn't know this, and I don't even know the answer to what I'm getting ready to ask, but you said that there was some news that you would like to announce to the EIU community about something new you're going to do or be involved with, so I'm just going to let the floor be yours and go from there. So breaking news here at WEIU.
Yes, very, very exciting news. The first time we are sharing this publicly. We have received official approval to open a campus food pantry.
All right.
So we are extremely excited about that. We're still working out some logistics, but our hope is to have it doors open beginning of October.
I remember you had talked about wanting to do this maybe last year when you were on, or maybe a year and a half ago. As you know, COVID time does not equate to regular time, so when you were on last. So I know, and there's such a need for this, and this is one of the things that you and your husband Michael have brought up so many times, is that the reason that there's a need for a food pantry is unfortunate, but it's another great thing because it'll be on campus, I assume. So is that kind of the goal?
Yes.
Yes. Yep, we're going to be in McAfee on the garden level, so it'll be an accessible space to everyone on campus. We've worked out the hours. We're going to be open roughly 15 hours every single week so that students will have the ability to come down and get support to put food on their table so that they can spend their brain power focused on what they're learning in the classroom and doing well academically, and will help support them because we know that our students and students across the country are struggling with food insecurity. And so we're just over the moon to be able to do something about it and help take care of our students.
I know you're working out details, but I'm going to throw questions at you anyway, and if you don't know, that's fine. Do we know when or estimated time that you would like to be open?
Our hope is to be open October 1st.
Okay, in McAfee. Is it going to be the EIU Food Pantry as a name, or are you going to come up with some cool name?
It's going to be called the EIU Campus Food Pantry. We are going to be sharing space with Disability Services, their clothing closet. So there are business and then casual clothes that are for anybody on campus who's needing that support. So we're really excited to be able to support what they're doing as well as the food pantry. Sorry, I feel like I'm getting ahead of a question you haven't even asked yet.
No, I was going to say, there was going to be like, where are you going to get your food? Do you have a grant for that? Are you going to take donations? Can people on EIU help? All those kind of things.
Yes.
Please help.
We have received some funding from the Alumni Association. We are so grateful for that. Thank you to the Alumni Association for helping us. We are going to be doing a matching campaign. We're meeting with the Foundations Department next week, and we will have information to share. But yes, people can donate cash that will go the furthest. You know, one of the things lots of people don't realize is that when people are doing food drives, which we will definitely also be doing, you know, a lot of people go to their cupboard and pick something that doesn't sound super tasty to them in that exact moment. I definitely am guilty of that. Or they go to Walmart and they take $1 and they buy a canned good and then they come and donate that. If I had taken, instead of going to any store, in spending $1, if I just given that $1, the food pantry, like us, will be able to turn around and buy $10 worth of food with that $1. So cash is the best way to support any food pantry. But we will be accepting donations. We will also be doing food drives and collecting items like toiletries. So whether it's toothbrushes, toilet paper, or pads and tampons, we're going to be looking for donations of all of those kinds so that we can support our students across the...
Well, that is really good news, and so that's awesome news, actually.
Yeah, we're very excited.
All right, so we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll touch base again before the show's on to give some details in case people are just tuning in. We're talking to the director of the Civic Engagement and Volunteerism at WEIU, who just announced that they're going to open up a new food pantry basically in about a month and a half or so right here on campus. Let's talk a little bit about... let's go back to this weekend. I know this weekend was crazy on campus. Lots of great pictures on social media. Talk about what you did this past weekend and what we can look forward to in the coming weeks from your folks.
Yeah, so one of the big things that we do at the start of every school year is Jumpstart, where we send all incoming freshmen out to participate in different service projects. And we sent about 50% of our students off campus, and we kept 50% on. Those who stayed on campus were making blankets for One Stop Community Christmas. As you know, it's a program near and dear to our hearts. But we also sent our off-campus students went to Aikman Wildlife Preserve. They went to a couple different community gardens. They went to the 5 Mile House.
Village of Ashmore.
Village of Casey. Lincoln Log Cabin. And we pick these locations that they're going to because we're trying to help them explore their brand new community, right? So we want them to understand that there are fun places to go and explore and things to do and be seen. And so we're just wanting to do some good and also help them see that that's an option. So we were really excited. It's a big undertaking to send an entire freshman class to a variety of different locations, but we're really grateful to our community partners who we're willing to say yes, especially given all the challenges that we're all facing right now and how to do this and how to do it safely. So,
then what's coming up next? Will be this week, next week, the other?
Yeah, so the first big thing is next Tuesday afternoon, we will be partnering with Student Life and their Student Involvement Fair for student organizations and having a volunteer fair and inviting community partners, nonprofit organizations, community businesses to come in as well and share what opportunities they have, whether it's volunteering, work opportunities, whatever that may be, with our students while they're already out there checking out our student organizations.
Okay.
It's so critical for our students to get involved and to kind of find, whatever they're excited about or they're passionate about, whether it's, the Harry Potter Club or volunteering or finding, a place to get a job. And the Panther Palooza is a great way to do that. It really just gives people a chance to super easy, super low key, go and check out all of the different opportunities. And as our colleague Nathan is known to say, if you've seen the opening scenes of Pitch Perfect, that's essentially what Panther Palooza is, except I haven't heard anybody singing at ours. But there's always a first for everything. But it's, it's just a really easy way to get a sense of what opportunities there are. And you don't even have to leave campus to do that. So we'll be out there from 2 to 5 on Tuesday, August 31st in the library quad. So give us a little bit of time, come explore some opportunities, some options for you, and you never know what you might
There really
find.
is something for every student, right? I mean, you can find a matchup if they don't really know what they like or they have something in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. That if a student is just completely unsure, we start by saying like, well, what have you done in high school? What did you fill your time with? Was it, we've had students say, well, but the only thing I, love doing is playing video games. Great. We've got the esports arena. There's teams there. We have students who are super excited about some kind of athletic endeavor. We've got intramurals if they're not playing on the official EIU teams. We've got students who love working with kids and they can come through us and get engaged with the local school system. So we have, there's enough of us in student affairs and there's enough options within the RSOs and the volunteer opportunities and Greek life to kind of figure out, well, this might be a good fit based on what you've liked doing in the past if they aren't able to kind of
I saw on your website even animal care, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell a little bit about that if I could talk?
Yeah, that's one of the most popular areas with our students. We send students out to the local animal shelter here in town, and they get to volunteer and walk the animals, get them out, get them some fresh air, just spend some quality time with them as they're waiting for their forever home. And it's a favorite project. We've in past years have had to add days and times to that program because students just really, really enjoy that.
What happens if a student has an idea that's not on your list? Can you match up? Can the student have an idea that matches up, and how does that go? How do they go about that?
Yeah, students have had ideas that have completely transformed our programming and what we've offered. For example, we had a student who loved dance and loved working with kids. And so based on her interest and her passion for it, we created a program where we invited, little kids to come in, and she taught them a dance, and then we did a performance at the end of the semester. And we did that until she graduated. So we absolutely can build a program around someone's interest and needs, and we're wide open to that. We do work with over 70 local nonprofits, so if we aren't doing something specifically, we do have an idea of who might be a good fit. So like if there's a faculty member on campus who's looking for a service project, or a student has an interest but they aren't sure where to go, we're more than happy to help make that connection or that bridge so that we can get the right people together. So
obviously, the other thing that's happened is, with COVID, what's right now, you're full go. You can send people out in the community, out to different places. At what point do you have to, is there a level that you start getting next concern, or is it just full board? We'll kind of see what happens as we move on this semester.
It's been a challenge. Obviously we want to have our students doing good, but we have had to transform how that looks. We take into consideration, I think this year we'll be able to know what the vaccine, obviously because there was no vaccine last year, we'll be able to look at hopefully what the vaccination rates are for our campus population, and if that's high, then that obviously is great because it keeps all of us safer. But in our community right now, it's only about a 40% vaccination rate. So, it's Crystal and I have had lots of conversations about how do we balance that. If our students are vaccinated, is it safe to send them into a space where they're going to be surrounded possibly by people who aren't vaccinated, who may or may not be wearing masks? And so it's just been how do we do what's best for right now? And so we've, as we looked at this fall, we were taking all of those things into consideration and are willing to send our students off campus, but for the majority of our weekly programming for right now, we're going to keep our students on campus, and Crystal can talk a little bit about what some of those programs look like, but that way we're keeping everybody as safe as we can, and we'll see what the first few weeks look like and then reevaluate.
Go.
No, so that weekly program that Beth was mentioning, we call pop-up service. So like she said, to keep our students safe, we're going, pending the weather obviously, we will be outside on the library quad, doing things like we did at Jumpstart, making the blankets for One Stop, Community Christmas, making dog and cat toys for the animal shelter, writing postcards for future Panthers or our first responders and nurses and that kind of stuff. So we will have a lot of opportunities for students to still make an impact in our community from here on campus, whether they've got 20 minutes between a class or they want to come sit for an hour or two.
I read something also, the youth mentoring. Will you still be doing some of that in the fall?
That one, we had completely revamped our program that was supposed to start last fall, and then obviously COVID shifted everything. We have to wait and see what the schools are saying. For the last year, the schools weren't inviting any volunteers in just from a safety perspective, and so we'll see what happens with what they're looking at doing that. But whenever it is safe for us to gather completely together again, then we've got a plan. We're ready to go. And I'm sure going to have students who are as excited to spend time with the local kids as the kids are to spend time with our EIU students.
And I wrote down hopefully the return of WEIU Kids Day in 2022, because we always do that in the fall, but so knock on wood, right?
Yes,
Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be amazing?
How do both of you coordinate all of these different events? You have 70 different people you work with on campus, off campus. How's the coordination efforts work?
A lot of times it feels like, we have a plan, we have an outline, but we're also flying by the seat of our pants.
We're very flexible.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's a great team effort. Like, we kind of know what we've done in the past and what's worked, so we can build on that. And then it's also being open to trying new things or making changes based on either, like this case, COVID and the current times we're in, or like you guys were talking about earlier, if students come in and want to try something new, a program that we've never done before. But Beth and I and our student staff and GAs, I mean, we just make a great team, and I think that makes it a lot easier to say, okay, let's brainstorm and what do we need to do and to get this done and be successful for our students.
Now, all the freshmen had to be involved over this past weekend. Now, how many of them will stay with you for the semester? And how many students do you have that volunteer continuously throughout the year? Do you know, number-wise?
We do. We, based on our last full academic year, so 2018 going into 2019, but we were on track to hit all of the same numbers from 2019 into 2020. We think we're engaging with at least 35% of our campus population, so a good chunk. And part of that, like you were asking about too, Jeff, is our willingness or our ability to be flexible. We look at programs, and if certain programs aren't filling consistently over a semester or two, then we start saying, okay, this isn't of interest to our students right now. Let's find something else to put in that spot so that the students are excited about the volunteer opportunities. And then, so we're paying attention to that. We're doing different kind of programming to stay engaged with them so that we can stay relevant, right? That's what we all want, is to have people excited about what's happening and paying attention and engaged with our stuff.
Is there a certain thing you look for in a student, or is it just any student you can try to mold or fit into a certain certain nonprofit?
We have worked with all kinds of students, and our job is to help them understand the impact of their time. If some students are going to come in and fully understand, and also it depends on the program too. Like, we go to the Charleston Food Pantry every single week. We take volunteers there. And so when you're literally handing somebody a box of food, you are understanding that what you're doing is making a difference to that person. But on some of our program, and a lot of what we've done in the last year and what we'll do again this fall, you're not seeing that end person getting what you're making. So then it becomes our responsibility to make sure that we're explaining the program, we're explaining the impact, and we're talking about that, so the student walks away knowing that their time was valued and was going to make somebody else's days brighter and better. And if we're doing that well and the program is fun, then the students will continue to come back because they are enjoying their experience.
We'll put you on the spot a little bit with this next question, so I'll give you a second to think here. But is there over the past few years you've been doing this, is there a student success story you can talk about where a kid that didn't know if he really wanted or she didn't really want to be involved, but then all of a sudden got involved and just kind of took off and became a leader? You don't have to give names, but maybe an example of somebody like I love student success stories. Does anything come to mind? I know I'm putting you on the spot, so I apologize.
No, you're fine. I've got one from several years ago, honestly.
That's fine, yeah.
But a student that initially came through our office because they were required to do service hours, whether it was because they got in trouble or a class requirement, but they were there because they had to be, not because they wanted to be.
I get it, yeah.
But even with students that are there for whatever expectation, we make it a point when they come in to say, okay, what is your interest? Yes, you have to do hours, but what are you interested in? Because if we just send them out to do gardening and they absolutely don't like that, we're never going to see them again.
Yeah.
But if they love working with kids and we send them to work out with kids, they're more likely to come back and volunteer with us once those hours are done. And that's the success of that story of the student I'm thinking of, is they were there for service hours that were required. They got those done and they loved what they did, so they started volunteering through our office and then became a student employee of ours until they graduated.
That's a great story.
And that's really how a lot of our student employees end up with us, is they want to give back or they volunteered through our office and say, how can I do more? And we figure out how to get them a job.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking too of one of our past grads who started as a volunteer during her undergraduate career and was like, what do you mean I could do something like this for my job? And having it kind of opened her eyes to student affairs. She ended up going into the college student affairs program. She was a graduate assistant with our office. We picked her because of her experience with us as an undergrad. We had a chance to get to know her throughout that process. And now she's successfully and gainfully employed and very happy, and has been working at another local college for the last 2.5, 3 years. So who knows? You could could come, just to make a few blankets for One Stop Community Christmas and end up with a job and a career. So
you guys did good on that. That's awesome. I love success stories like that when you think about it. Other things that are going to go on this fall, I believe you said something about Adventure EIU. Did we touch that base on that?
We have not, but we would love to. And then I would also love to talk about our social justice program.
Yep.
So Adventure EIU, we like to say, have you seen the show The Amazing Race?
I know what it is. I haven't seen.
Okay. It's kind of like The Amazing Race, except we're not jet setting all over the world. We're just jet setting all over campus. But it's solving clues. It's participating in challenges. There is definitely a service component involved. But it is going to be a super fun way to explore campus, do some good, and have an enjoyable time as part of Family Weekend, as we're going to offer the next round of Adventure EIU. So it's teams of 4. You can sign up as a team of 4, or you can be super brave and sign up as a free agent, and then we'll put you on a team with other people so that you can meet three new friends that day. It is open to anybody and any loved ones or family members of our students who are coming, so it doesn't just have to be for our EIU students, but it's going to be on Saturday, September 18th, and it should take about an hour and a half. I think the time is maybe 1 to 3 or 2 to 4. I'm sorry that I can't remember specifically off the top of my head quite yet today, but we did Adventure EIU last fall. We had over 100 students participate. They all had a blast, so we're really excited to do it again this year, and there will be prizes for the top team, so we're excited about that. But
is it like a scavenger hunt, or they just have to get checked off at the different areas they go in?
Nope, it is.
Or a combination.
I was going to say it's there's a scavenger hunt element to it. There's challenges. Like some of the challenges were solving a word puzzle. Some of them are doing making a blanket for One Stop Community Christmas. Shameless plug. We can't help ourselves. Part of one of last year's challenges was to complete some chair yoga. So it's a little bit a smattering of things from across campus.
Smattering. I like that.
I do what I can on a Monday. But it's a partnership with our office, with fraternity and sorority programs and student rec. So we're just, we're glad to be working as a team to do something fun and different.
Now, social justice program. I don't know anything about this, so tell us.
I am really excited to talk about the social justice programming, our series. We did it all of last year, and we're going to continue it. Obviously, there's a lot happening in the world, and so we started it because internally we were just having a lot of questions. Well, how did what's the history of this particular situation that's happening? What else do we need to know? And so we started having these conversations in our office, and then we were saying, if we're asking these questions, there are going to be other people on campus who are also wanting more information, wanting more background. How do I get involved? What can I do about this particular topic that I'm interested and engaged with? And so that became the beginning of the social justice series. So we've got 4 different kind of like signature programs that are tied in with it. And each month there's a different theme. But the program structure stay the same. So the first one is going to be EIU Reads, which is a book club. But we've had over 250 people participate in EIU Reads over the last 18 months. And this fall, the book we're reading is The New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness by Michelle Alexander. And I mean, the book rocked my world in a really powerful way. It may have been one of the most powerful books I've ever read. But we come together once a week for 4 weeks and have a conversation about different chapters within that book. Again, this is a free program to anyone who's listening.
And when's that start?
It'll start the week of September 19th. We've got a 9 a.m. session, we've got a noon session, and we're adding a 6 p.m. session so that we can try and make it easy to fit in around life and work. And again, free. We ask that people who are interested come to the table to participate in these conversations so we can listen and learn from each other. So the EIU Reads is fantastic, and we're really excited about starting that up. We're bringing back our TED Talks this year. So our TED Talk programs have 3 speakers. They each only get 10 minutes to speak, and then we open it up to questions. And our topic for our September event is going to be how have you changed the world for the better? So we've got 3 speakers, one from fraternity and sorority life. Peyton 80, who is part of student government, who is the student commencement or convocation speaker last night. I got to get the right language here. And we also have a student who was an AmeriCorps worker in Mattoon. So they're going to spend 10 minutes talking about how they've made life better for themselves and others on campus. We're real excited about that. We also have our living room conversations. One of the things I know you will have noticed just in the work that you do over the last couple of years, it's gotten harder to talk to people who have differing opinions or have different vantage points. And
I haven't really noticed, Beth. I don't know what you're
I know
talking
it's
about.
practically impossible not to. But the really cool thing is that these living room conversations are structured and they're question driven, and it's a safe and respectful way to come together and have conversation about topics that can feel really uncomfortable in a way that's safe for everybody who's at the table. And so our topic for this month is talking about how is like civic engagement changed and what do we want it to look like in the future. So just a 30 or 40 minute conversation that's going to be done virtually, but it's just a good way to come and to think and then to participate in a conversation. So we're super excited to bring the living room conversations back for this fall. And then the other two programs we're offering is our faculty chats, where we're going to have Dr. Paul Danny talk about a history of students standing up and speaking out collectively, and how that's made a difference in the United States. So we're really excited to hear what he has to say about that. So it'll be a 30-minute presentation. And then we also have Aaron Rowland, who is going to be talking about the amendments that are obviously the foundation for our country, for our Constitution, but like, why were they created? Like, what was happening back in the day, the 1700s, that made those so critical, and like, what was the intent? And then what are the ramifications, or like, how is it playing out? Because obviously the intent in 1776 is going to look a lot different than how it actually looks in 2021. So I think that that's going to be fascinating and really interesting to just think about that from those two vantage points. And so again, it's a great way to come learn, ask questions, get some more information, and see how the world all fits together.
And you've got a busy semester ahead of you, busy school year.
Yeah.
We got less than a minute left. Contact information if anybody is involved or wants to get involved on campus with the Civic Engagement and Volunteerism Department.
Yep. Our email is volunteer@eiu.edu. You can come and see us in our office. We're on the 3rd floor of the Student Union, and you can call us at 581-3967.
581-3967. Well, thank you too, not just for coming in on short notice. I appreciate it. And for short notice, man, you were jam packed, ready to rock and roll.
I mean, we've always got things happening in civic engagement. So.
And if you didn't hear the other news, EIU will have its own food pantry come October. We'll have you back, or at least we'll get you on with your morning show appearance with Rob to talk about the wins and wheres when that actually opens. So congratulations on that. And again, thanks so much for being in.
You're welcome.
All right, we are WEIU. Everybody have a great day. We'll be back next Monday right here at WEIU.